Welcome to CramerSez. CramerSez. Be part of the show at CramerSez.com. Interact on Twitter at CramerSez. Now, CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast. It is Wednesday, April 26th. This is CramerSez Live. Welcome to the show. You can catch us on Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube. YouTube is actually letting us back on, so I must be back in their good graces. And believe it or not, TikTok account number 86 is still up. We're taking your calls tonight at 877-619-3899. Got a lot to get into. Call whenever you want. And by the way, some lucky caller tonight. I don't even know who it's going to be. The producers chose the number. It's beyond me. Some caller tonight that calls in is going to win a CramerSez t-shirt, absolutely free. You'll be able to get it like everybody else. The merch store is open, but we're giving some away just to showcase what we've got. CramerSez podcast t-shirt will be given away tonight. Some lucky caller. I have no idea who it is, so I'm not in on it. I didn't pick it. Anyway, one caller will win a t-shirt tonight, so make sure that you jump in. The CramerSez podcast, if you've never listened and you want to catch up to what we're doing in other interviews and other things that we're doing, because the live is kind of one thing and the podcast are another. Sometimes we put the lives up, but you can get our podcast at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcast. With all of that being said, today has been one of those days. I have been one of the angriest men in America today. One of the angriest men in America. And the reason I say that is because, number one, what I'm about to tell you about is one of the most disgusting things that you will ever hear in your life. And it happened just down the road from me. So let me get into it here. This is the pictures of two women that were arrested today in Brownsburg, Indiana. Sarah Seymour and Deborah Knipe. They're teachers, they're staffers at the Brownsburg Elementary School. I believe it's an elementary school. Let me read you the story, and then we'll get into the craziness of our world, where we are, why I keep screaming and yelling, because how we treat the least among us dictates how we treat everybody else. The treatment that we give those that cannot help themselves, it shows you what a society and what a culture is and how evil it is or how good it is. In this case, it's evil. In Brownsburg, Indiana, staffers at a Brownsburg elementary school faced criminal charges after investigators say they told a 7-year-old special needs student to eat his own vomit and failed to report the incident. Why do you think they failed to report the incident? I can tell you why they failed to report the incident. Because they made a special needs student eat his own vomit. These are teachers, adults. Sarah Seymour, I think, is 27, and Deborah Knipe there is, I think, 63. Adults. They know better. They went to school. They're highly educated. In today's school system, you can't be a teacher unless you've been highly educated. You have to keep going back to school time and time again. That's how you get your pay raises, is by how much education you have. And I think it's safe to say that nowhere in their educational practice would you ever see anybody have the ability to think that making a 7-year-old eat their own vomit was in somehow, way, shape, or form appropriate. The Hendricks County Prosecutor's Office filed criminal charges against 5 staff members in connection with an incident in which a special education student was mistreated during lunch. Brownsburg Community School Police learned about the incident on April 12th, although it occurred during a lunch period on Friday, according to the investigation. Brown Elementary Life Skills teacher, these are the people that are involved. Listen to this. Brown Elementary Life Skills teacher Sarah Seymour pictured 27 neglect of a dependent as a level 6 felony and failure to report a Class B misdemeanor. Brown Elementary Life Skills educational aide Deborah Knipe, 63, also pictured neglect of a dependent as a level 6 felony and failure to report a Class B misdemeanor. Brown Elementary Life Skills teacher Julie Taylor, 48, failure to report a Class B misdemeanor. Brown Elementary Life Skills instructional aide Kristen Mitchell, 38, failure to report a Class B misdemeanor. Kids Count registered behavioral technician Megan King, failure to report a Class B misdemeanor. According to the Brownsburg Police Department, Seymour advised a 7-year-old life skills student that if he vomited, he would have to eat whatever he threw up. The child, on a tray provided by Taylor, indeed vomited, at which point Knipe provided the child with a spoon. Deborah Knipe, pictured here, is 63 years old. Do you think if she has grandchildren that she would have done the same to her grandchild? Sarah Seymour, do you think that she would have done the same thing to her children if she has children? I'll bet not. According to the probable cause affidavit, video showed the incident and the involvement of the 5 staff members. None of them reported what happened. Not a single one. This was the response from the Brownsburg school system. On Monday, April 17th, we shared with Brown Elementary families and staff that BCSC had moved forward with termination of 2 staff members after learning of the mistreatment of a life skills student in their care at lunch. BCSC has been notified that these 2 staff members will be charged by the Hendricks County prosecutor. 2 other staff members are also being charged for their roles in failing to report the incident. More details are forthcoming from the Brownsburg Police Department. As BPD releases more information about this incident, please know that the BCSC family will continue to be steadfast in our commitment to Brownsburg students, their safety and well-being. I call bullshit. That's a boilerplate apology. Only 2 people are in trouble right now? There were 5 standing there. 5 fucking adults! 5! Not 1, not 2, 5. The math works out, folks. I've been saying it for weeks. 80% of people have no ability to stand up to authority of any way, shape, or form. They just don't have it in them. How many people involved? 5. How many people did nothing? 4. That's 80%. One person made the child eat their own vomit, and 80% of the adults in that place didn't stand up for that child. That's why we're in trouble in this nation. That's why everything else that we're going to be talking about tonight shows you that this is the end of Rome. Our empire is dead. Our culture is dead. Anything's allowable. What used to be good is now evil, and what used to be evil is now good. Prove me wrong. Are you tired of it? Are you sick of it? That could have been your child. And it didn't necessarily have to be a special needs child. It could have been any child. They decided, in their wisdom, with all this education, and somewhere in the likelihood of 5 people, let's say they're all 30 years each. Deborah is one of the older ones. Let's say on average that they're 45 years each. With 5 people there, that is over 200 years of experience of life. And not a single one of them had it within them to say, we're not doing this. You're not going to make that child do this. Not a single one. These are the government officials that we put our kids in their trust every day. What else is going on? They didn't report it because, well, that wouldn't look good, would it? They knew what they had done was wrong. They didn't report it. Not a single one of them. That means there was 5 teachers, 5 people, 5 adults in that school system that cannot be trusted with your child. We've heard about 2 of them. I'm going to make a move in Indianapolis or in Brownsburg, which is about 10 minutes away from where I live, to go over and have a conversation with the people in power and ask them, what are they going to do? And what's the excuses for not getting rid of all 5 immediately? There shouldn't be any hesitation in firing these bitches. I'm going to say it. I call them what they are. They're a danger to society. These are the types of individuals that walked people into the gas chamber in Nazi Germany. Now, I don't know what their political affiliation is, but I can tell you one thing, it's not conservative. I'm not going to invoke GOP or DNC dogma. I'm just going to say that this right here is not what conservatives stand for. And I'll bet if we tracked it down, I'll just about bet they're not conservative. This right here is what's wrong with the liberal agenda. Anything goes. Anything's okay. That's why they thought they had the permission to do that. You see, I keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. The bullies give the minions the permission to act how they really are. The bully says, it's okay to do that. I've got you. I'll take care of you here. Just follow my lead. And the minions move forward. They do what they're going to do. They show their true colors. It's like Chuck Schumer. I think it was on Sunday, or Monday rather. It may have been Monday. concerning the firing of Tucker Carlson. When he was asked by, I'm sorry, this is not last Sunday, this is a month ago. When he was asked by CNN if he had the authority, the approval to be able to tell private businesses to shut up. And he says, yes, we have that authority, not only that authority, but that obligation. That's the same mentality as here. Here's how I tie those two things together. Both are wrong, and they've turned them into right. They've determined that whatever they want to do is okay. That's why Ghislaine Maxwell's little list is still secret. Because it's okay to molest children. Not okay to drive them around, not okay to take them from point A to point B, but once they get to point B, anything that happens is okay. It's fine. They can justify it. It might hurt somebody's feelings or reputation if we tell you who's fucking the kids. Are you tired of it? Because this could be your kid. This could be your grandchild. This could be your niece or nephew that they've done this to. They think it's appropriate. They don't have any problem with it. And when they do these things, it justifies it to everybody else. It's the escalation of justification. And where does that start from? Well, it starts from this guy right here. Not this guy, sorry. This guy right here. Starts with this guy, the guy at the top. We are not living in the America that I grew up in. We are living in a socialist dogma country. I know that we've got a flag and we say that we're the home of the brave and the land of the free, but we're not, because our system has been bastardized to the point where Joe Biden here, if you look closely, gets a little piece of paper. He gets a cheat sheet to allow him to figure out what to say next. And not only what to say, but who's going to ask him the question. And not only who's going to ask him a question, not who to call on, but the question they're going to ask. Folks, that's not journalism. If you've got to give your questions in advance to be called on by the president at a press briefing or at a hearing, that's not journalism, that's propaganda. The propaganda that's led us here to where it's okay to do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. The means justify the ends, or the ends justify the means. Doesn't matter. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Feel free to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Are you tired of it? I'm going to keep saying the same exact thing about it because it's your fault. You. It's not theirs. It's yours. It's mine. It's our fault. We let it get here. We let it get to the point where people think that it's justifiable for these things to happen, that it's justifiable to treat children this way, that it's okay to treat people this way, that it's okay to treat our nation this way. Because Joe will say that that's okay, that's news, that's the news of the day. That's not news, that's propaganda. And the only way that this bullshit stops, as I said last night, is if you start stepping up. It's too late when it's your child. It's too late when it's your nephew or your niece or your grandchild. It's too late when it happens to them. The scarring has already been done. It's too late. If you wait until they knock on your door, it's too late. Wake the fuck up. The crazy is everywhere, people. The crazy is everywhere, and that's what tonight's show is about. The crazy that's everywhere. Let me take you to Great Britain. I'm sorry, not Great Britain, to Canada. Let me take you to Canada, Vancouver specifically, where the crazy is running rampant. And Brazilian waxes, oh, that is 2008. 2000 late. The in crowd knows that the big thing that you want to have done is ball waxing.
This is the latest salon that's facing a complaint from Jessica Yaniv, the transgender woman who's already complained to BC's Human Rights Tribunal about 15 other salons, complaints that were dismissed.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. For those of you who don't follow the lingo, the language, a trans woman is a dude that dresses like a woman. That's all you have to be. No surgery, no nothing. Slap on a wig, some makeup, just like that, you're a woman. If you want to go full bore and cut off your tallywhacker and have it inverted, which opens you up to all kinds of diseases and all kinds of infections, if you want to do that, you got to have money. It's substantially expensive. It's really expensive to get that surgery done. So, being a person that's trans without all the equipment changed is really an equity problem. It really is. The reporter continues.
In 3 of those, she was fined. Fines she has yet to pay. In this latest case, Yanif sent the salon these Facebook messages in August asking about waxing services. First a Brazilian, then just a leg wax, adding she's transgender. The salon's owner, a practicing Sikh, told her they only waxed women.
You're asking for an East Indian woman who is an adherent to the Sikh religion to take somebody who has a biological male body into the back of the salon and have that person disrobe from the waist down, and then have this individual, the service provider, provide this very personal service.
And by the way, no sex change here. As they said, what is it? Beans and franks is what he's got below the belt. Beans and franks. Doesn't have a fish, got beans and franks. So yeah, he's got a penis instead of a vagina.
Anna filed a complaint 2 months later claiming discrimination. She wants $25,000 for the injury to her dignity and self-respect. It's a similar pattern to some of her previous 15 complaints, behavior that the Human Rights Tribunal found to be in bad faith, motivated by a desire to target small businesses for personal financial gain, and to punish racialized women based on the perception that South Asian and Asian communities are taking over.
She was found to have acted like a predator.
Trans rights advocate Morgan Auger is critical of Yanif's behavior.
Whereas everybody has every right to live free of discrimination, no one has the right to trap others into bad situations. We are expected not to go hunting for badness.
And she believes Yanif's actions have instead raised fears about the transgender community, calling it detrimental.
We've seen the amount of hatred against trans people significantly increase. Jessica's conduct online has been conflated with transphobia.
Auger thinks that the issue is a legitimate one, but that Yanif shouldn't be the one to bring the case forward, adding that workers have a right as well to turn down work that can cause undue hardship. A hearing date has yet to be set. Leanne Young, CBC News, Vancouver.
So the term undue hardship, probably poor wording on her part. But here's what I think is interesting, is that this reporter was talking to a man and called it she. Was talking about the person that was the subject of the story and reported him as her. Here's the thing, folks. The crazy only continues if you allow it to continue. That's why I'm not playing the game anymore. You see, our silence is what gives them the justification to take another inch and another inch and another inch. Not just inches now, miles. It's gone from, I want to dress as a woman and I'm a feminine person to I'm a woman. If you don't call me that, I will shoot you if you don't let me go to the restroom of my choice. That's where it's gotten to because of your silence. One of the things I've started doing here in the last few weeks is that when I go out to the stores, and I don't go out very much because I get in trouble every time I go out. My wife goes, what the hell happened? I don't know. Because I don't put up with people's bullshit. That's what it is. I don't play by their games. So I go out, and when I see people standing, and I don't go after elderly people, I understand why they're doing what they're doing. They're still scared, and they've got a reason to be scared for their health. But when I see young people, my age or younger, substantially younger, and they're wearing a mask, I take video of them. And I publicly shame them. Because when they have the balls to finally come over and ask me why I'm taking a video of them, I say, well, I'm just getting video of science deniers. Those who deny science. Well, what do you mean? As they're talking behind their muffled mask. It's very clear that the science is 100% clear. Masks do not stop viral spread. Even N95 masks do not stop viral spread. So I'm trying to help those that are mentally ill understand their illness can be helped, but they have to admit the problem before they can solve the problem. Remember how we were called out, how we were labeled because we wouldn't wear a mask? Because we knew the science. The science was clear. No matter how many masks you packed on top of masks, it would make it harder to breathe, but it wasn't going to stop the virus. The virus was going to get through. That's what the science said. #science. Why is it okay for them to use that term and us not turn it on them? As we've learned now that all the bullshit that we were told during the COVID years was all bullshit. None of it was true. It was all made up. The 6 feet apart, bullshit. Masks, bullshit. The vaccine will get us back to normal, bullshit. If you take it, you can't get it, bullshit. If you take it, what's going on there? Something happened. There we go. Something happened. I don't know what that was. Something happened in the system. If you take it, you can't pass it on. Remember all those promises? And what were they? Lies. Oh, it wasn't a lie. It was a mistake. No, it was lies. It was a lie. Because when you found out the truth, you didn't correct yourself. When we found out that this was having a harmful effect on young people, they didn't say stop. They continued to push, even when they knew that a certain percentage of young people, regardless of what their background was going to suffer catastrophically from these vaccines, that they could get myocarditis. Oh, it's mild. I don't want a case of mild myocarditis. I don't want the mildest case you can get. I don't care how much protection you say I'm going to get from this vaccine. I do not want a mild case of anything. Yeah, we're just going to give you a mild case of cancer. It should pass in a couple of years or so. If you take medications, what do you mean? I got to take more medications because the medication that you're giving me doesn't protect me from what you say it protects me from, but it gave me myocarditis? Are you fucking insane? That's what the American people haven't had the balls to say. Now, there are tons of people who say, I didn't wear a mask. Bullshit. There are a ton of us that didn't take the vaccine. A ton of us. 0% of those who didn't take the vaccine, suffer side effects from taking the vaccine. You follow that logic? If you didn't take it, it couldn't hurt you. But you could have hurt somebody else. You could have killed grandma. Nope. It's not the way it worked out. The way I look at it anymore, based on the evidence, is that, well, it was grandma's time to go anyway. She was probably knocking on heaven's door and didn't even know it. But you're going to curtail my freedoms and what I can and can't do because grandma is already sick and is on death's door, and I'm supposed to protect her by taking a vaccine that may make me sick? Fuck you. We found out from the work done on the Pfizer documents with Naomi Wolf that the third cause, the third highest rated thing that you got from taking the shot, the one that was going to save us all, was the disease it was supposed to save you from. And that's how we get here. We get here to this point where the trans movement believes that they have a right to do whatever the fuck they want. You got the one crazy dude now going on and saying, hey, if you try to stop me from going to the restroom, I'll shoot you. I'm packing. I will put 9 in you. I'll put a cap in your ass if you try to stop me. Sounds awful ballsy. Women don't talk like that, dude. They just don't. Women are feminine, right? And the first thing you do is come on as the ballsiest guy on the planet? Crazy talk. Speaking of which, I think it's interesting. That in the last few weeks, there's been a number of different things that have come through the news. And this one here caught my attention, and I wanted to bring it up because I thought it was interesting. Flags. And this is going to be a long one because I'm going to start out. We're going to talk about some stuff, and then we're going to go back. But flags are created for one purpose. They are a physical representation of an idea or a cause, or the combination of an idea and a cause. For example, if you look at the American flag, it represents a number of different things. The number of states in our union, the blood that's been shed, the unity. There's a number of different things. The purity. That's what the colors stand for. That's what the blue means. Everything has a meaning on the flag. It can stand for nationality or human suffering. For example, the Red Cross. We see that flag, and we know that means help's on the way. But flags are being created for a whole range of new things. Just imagine if somebody said, I'm flying this new flag in my house, and you ask them, well, what does it stand for? What does it mean? And they said, well, it stands for robbing banks. That's the national flag of robbing banks. That's illegal. Yeah, it is. But that's the flag for it. For anybody who robs banks, that's the flag they got to fly. You put that on your car, you put that on your shoulder, that way that people will know who you are. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? What about the flag for assault? You seen a flag for assault? Have you seen that yet? A flag for assault, people who beat other people up, they put it on there, they get it tattooed so that you'll know that they're assaulters. That's what they do. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Well, Elon Musk, has a red line when it comes to flags. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But he's got this red line because of all the other crazy that's going on. You see, in the last couple of years, we've been informed that you and I, if we're normal, we're cis. What do you mean? You're adding a word to my description? Nope, I'm not a cis man. You're not a cis woman. You're a man or a woman. That's it. Adding another description onto that doesn't change anything. I'm a man, because what they want to do is they want to make, I'm a trans woman, so you're a cis man. Nope, that's not how it works. I'm a man. So are you. You want to add these descriptors on top of me so that it makes you feel better about the lie that you're telling yourself. The real sin in what's going on with this trans movement in this country is not what they want to believe. I don't give two shits what they want to believe. But is how they're forcing you and I to participate in their psychosis, in their mental illness. The only way this stops is if you and I stop it and start calling it out for what it is. And stop worrying about getting canceled. Stop worrying about what they're going to call us. They're already calling you names. They've already labeled you. You're cis. That's the least harmful thing that they'll call you. You are the ones, you're the catalyst for what happens next. Your outrage, your vengeance of getting even for what's been taken away from you and your family. You're telling me that a gay man that likes to suck dick and dress up as a woman, that he suffered the same things that a woman has suffered through? No. Because I know that a woman who lops off her tits and goes and gets a fake penis added on is no more a man than I am a woman. Do you know how I know? Because I asked a trans man, I said, a trans woman, I said, it's confusing, isn't it? Explain to me what restroom etiquette is. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Trying to pull on their fake facial hair. What do you mean? What do you mean by bathroom etiquette? Well, when you go into a stall or you go into a restroom, a men's restroom, and let's say that there's 5 urinals hanging on the wall there, and there's a guy in the middle, which one do you go to? Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Because you're not a dude. You're a chick trying to act like you have a dick. I'm a dude. I know that you go to the next one over. You give a space to the other guy. I don't know what it is. That's what men do. It is what it is. That's restroom etiquette. You don't know about that because you're a chick trying to pretend you have a dick. Just like I don't know the etiquette of a woman's restroom. Now, I have been in a woman's restroom before, and the one thing that I can tell you about the majority of women's restrooms, they're substantially cleaner than the men's. That is a fact. There's a reason for that. Men are disgusting creatures. But cis is normal. So whenever I hear the word cis, I hear you're normal, and I'm about to tell you how I'm not. And these kids right here do just that. Listen closely.
I'm non-binary, gender fluid, right?
See if you can follow this.
And that technically, by the definition standards, I am trans, right? However, I'm not always trans, I'm not always I am trans.
So there you go. It's fluid. What other medical condition, what other thing can you say that one day I'm this and the next day I'm that? You can't. But it's okay. They've justified it. You can say or do or be anything you want in this new world that we live in, except critical of those that are doing anything that they want.
But sometimes I am I am trans. And you know what I realized it is this? You know what I realized it is? Literally, it's that. Literally, by being, oh, cool.
Squirrel.
That trunk opens like a door. Not like a, oh, there's a cat. Oh, look at this sweetie.
Wait a minute. Did she just say that trunk opens like a door? Maybe it's a trunk that identifies as a door. Think about it.
There's a cat. Look at this. Okay. So sometimes I'm literally trans and sometimes I'm literally not. Like, because in my gender fluidity, like, it just is. Like, sometimes I'm trans and sometimes I'm not. I'm always non-binary. I'm always gender fluid. Sometimes I'm trans, sometimes I'm not.
She keeps saying the same exact thing. By the way, this is a chick, if you can't tell. Pretending to be a boy. For those of you that aren't watching it on Instagram, it's a chick. And you can tell by her voice, can't you? Anyway, I think it's interesting that I call this the Almond Joy versus Mounds discussion. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Because that's part of my gender fluidity. And like realizing that, just like all the pieces clicked. And I just love it. Like figuring out that I was gender fluid, like made so much sense for my life. And
so she can't even decide what she is. When she's talking about being gender fluid, I'm a man. I don't stutter when I get to say, I'm a man. I'm a dude. I'm a guy. I'm a boy. I've been that my entire life. I'm a male. There's no stuttering. I know exactly what I am because I don't have to make it up on the fly to seem relevant.
Sometimes I'll be sitting here and being like, well, I haven't felt masc in a really long time, or I haven't felt like a pretty boy in a long time, or like, I just don't want anybody to perceive me as any kind of gender sometimes. And I'm like, dude, that's literally what it is.
Dude? How dare you gender me?
Like, that's literally your gender fluidity, because sometimes I am a pretty little boy, and sometimes I want zero fucks to do with gender, and sometimes I'm a femme little princess, and I love that, and sometimes I'm all of it all at once and none of it simply because I'm not.
You know, one of the reasons why cis people think they're real or natural or the default is because they've fallen into the trap of the myth of white supremacy. Yep.
Oh, let's see how they explain this one. So how does she explain this one here? By the way, she's a guy, right? This is a chick that wants to be a guy. So I'm trying to explain. You can hear in the voice. The voice gives it away. The voice in the Adam's apple always gives it away as to what you really are. Nobody's hiding shit. We know what you are. Those of us who are not pretending, we don't hate you. We're just not pretending with you.
They're connected. So if you think things like trans women aren't women, or if you call people trans but then refuse to call yourself cis, if you're cis, that means that
I'm not cis. I'm not cis. I'm normal. I'm normal. You're not.
Have been influenced by one of the original influencers. The twin siblings of colonialism and the myth of white supremacy. And those twin influencer siblings get paid by capitalism to influence. They have literally influenced you to believe that there is a version of a man and a woman that is more human than all the other versions. Sound familiar? Yep. White dominant culture, colonialism, capitalism, they've been working real hard on us. Remember, just like with any influencer trend that is toxic, we don't have to believe it. And we don't have to follow it. And
that goes with all trends, you crazy batshit bitch. That's all trends. We don't have to go along with it because you say it's so. You've got a lot of big words. You're stringing them all together. They sound impressive. You're Asian. You're Asian. What does white supremacy have to do with an Asian woman thinking she's a dude? There's no white supremacy in that. There's no confusion in that. It has nothing to do. You bring it in because it's the now thing to do. It's the cool thing to do is to see if you can include white supremacy into any argument. What she's trying to tell you folks is that, well, there are no trans in any other cultures around the globe. It's just here in the U.S., and it's all based on white supremacy. And if you don't like it, you're a white supremacist, regardless of what color you are or where you came from on the planet and how you disagree with her lifestyle. It's white supremacy.
In fact, we can even point out the ludicrousness and make it completely obsolete.
Here's another
being
one.
Trans and trying to go get your medication. I literally walk up there, the lady on the phone is like, oh, can I have your last name? And so I give it to her. She's like, oh, okay, I'll meet you out there and I'll give you your prescription, right? So I'm waiting and she comes out and then she says, oh, is this for? And then she says my dead name. And I'm like, my name is Rylan. And she just looks at me, and then she puts the medication on the table and shuts the door and locks it behind her.
The hardest part about being trans is being mentally ill. The hardest part about this trans movement is not acknowledging that these people have mental issues across the board. The vast majority of those trans people, and I feel for them, they're mentally ill. The thing that I feel worst about is those trans people who feel unhappy in their body and they think an operation is going to solve the problem, and they get it. And the vast majority of those that go through the operation and through the entire process end up killing themselves down the road. How many of these trans kids have you heard have said, listen, I made a mistake and I did it way too early? Instead of getting them help and saying, let's address your mental issues first. What has the medical industry done? Cha-ching, they've made money on it. It's a money-making machine. These operations, hundreds of thousands of dollars. The visits, the checkups, all the bullshit, all the drugs, they get you on drugs for the rest of your life because you're not who you think you are. You're not who you say you are. So not to have a beard, you got to take drugs. To get a beard, you got to take drugs. Who's profiting from all of this? Big pharma, big medicine. Do you think they honestly care that you've got mental issues? They do not. They don't cure mental issues. They treat mental issues. There's no money in the cure. There's tons of money in the treatment.
I think the really crappy thing about having a period every month.
Oh! Now, for those of you who aren't watching on Instagram, it's a dude. The hardest thing about being a trans woman, God damn, it's so confusing. The hardest thing about being a trans woman is the periods. Listen closely.
Is that I have to experience all of this pain, all this discomfort, and I don't even get the joy or the ability to bear children?
So he's upset that he has periods every month and cramps every month, and he hates that part of it, and he can't bear children. Oddly, I can't either. Don't have any periods, though. I don't have any cramps. I suggest you get to a doctor. That could be appendicitis, sir.
Such horseshit. Especially this month, because the cramps have been really, really bad. Debilitating even, more so than usual.
Oh.
And it's just at least give me the ability to have a baby, or just take this away.
It's such crap. It's such crap. It's such crap. My life is crap. That's mentally ill. Mentally ill, folks. You know how I know it's mentally ill? Right here. Here's the map of the genders. You see that? For those of you who can't watch it on Instagram, you'll have to come back and watch on the podcast. All the genders that are out there. Have you seen this list? Male, female, got that. All the others, they're not genders. They're mental illness. It's a mental illness. Man, woman, everything else. If you think you're fluid or you think you're this, go see a doctor and say, listen, I'm mentally ill. I'm mentally ill because that's not right. That's not true. There aren't unlimited genders. Imagine trying to manage that one. Well, the reason I bring all of this up, and I started out with the flags, is because you may have heard what happened on Twitter, and the left is just outraged. Elon Musk suspended a user for posting a flag, and the flag was for pedophilia. Now, the reason I brought up all the crimes earlier is because, and let me go back and remind some of you, there's a lot of you that don't realize that acting out gay tendencies back in the day was a crime. You could go to jail for a man being with a man and a woman being with a woman. It was illegal. They've lifted those laws. But it's not against the law. It is against the law to defile a child. To molest a child, to have sex with a child is illegal. They continue to want to lower the ages of everything, which brings me to a completely different subject that's outside of this realm. But today I meant to get into the program and we didn't get it, but I do want to mention it, that the Netherlands have now lowered, and this is the age of crazy. The Netherlands have lowered the age of suicide or euthanasia, the age at which you can have someone killed or you can have yourself killed, to the age of 0, meaning that a newborn can be euthanized legally in the Netherlands. You don't believe me? Go check it out. It's in The Guardian. Well, it's everywhere. Has your life become too hard? Is being a toddler too much for you? Today, you can hang yourself. You can commit suicide. And we're not going to care. We're just going to look the other way because that's how much we care for you. That's the crazy world that we're currently living in. This is what happened today with Elon Musk. He's had enough. Elon Musk suspended the person who made a pedophilia flag. Congratulations. Musk responded, not tolerated on this platform. You see, pedophilia is not minor attracted persons. It's criminals. Those who would defile your child for their sexual pleasure. It's a crime. And to create a crime or to create a flag that celebrates a crime against children is not only sick, but anybody who does that, well, their hard drive should be looked at immediately. They should get a search warrant for that person's home. I'll just about bet you're going to find child harm paraphernalia. Listen, I don't care what you do. Doesn't matter to me. But when you force it on me and when you force it on mine, I've got a problem with that. Most other people do too. Most sane people do. The problem is that 80% of people out there do not have the balls to say no. They just don't. And those 20% of us out here that have the balls to say that, have the courage to say that, stand alone a lot of times because nobody else will join us because they're too afraid of being, well, they're too afraid of being marginalized, off to the side. Which is interesting to me because if you feel like you're marginalized, welcome to the Democrat Party. They love to exploit these marginalized communities. We'll come support you. You can do anything you want. In fact, we're going to make the other side look crazy that they don't accept you. As long as you give us your anger and you give us your vote, we're there for you. We'll support you. And what happens when somebody who's gay or somebody who's trans comes out and says, listen, I'm a conservative. They're out there. What happens to those people? Well, they immediately get dropped by the left, villainized by the left. If they don't share the same ideology, the same exact thoughts, then you can't be a part of our club. And we'll do everything in our power to destroy you, your livelihood, and everything that you stand for. Because we're tolerant. Phone lines are open. 877-619-3899. Giving away a t-shirt tonight. If you want to be a part of the show, call in right now. 877-619-3899. Somebody's going to win a t-shirt. I don't know who it is, but we're going to do that here shortly. Until then, let's take a break right now, and you'll hear from our sponsor. This is Tusk, the Tusk web browser. If you haven't got it, go get it. It's for those who are looking for a different experience online, and they've just added a new AI chat buddy that is phenomenal. They're sidestepping Google and these others and giving you the ability to search with an AI tool. Very, very cool, very new. Go check it out, tuskbrowser.com. Welcome back to the show. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez podcast, CramerSez Live. We do it every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Your calls right now at 877-619-3899. What are your thoughts on what's going on? What are your thoughts on where this goes next? Now, you see, I know it sounds like I'm a hater, and I've got tons of gay friends. Tons. I've worked in radio and TV and entertainment my entire life since I was 16 years old. Got tons of gay friends. Some liberal, some I don't talk to anymore because of my positions. But I don't have anything against them. They're adults. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. But we said, those of us who had the balls to say it out loud, that the moment that the gay community was allowed to marry and not just do a civil union, they can call it whatever they want. But a marriage is between a man and a woman. I don't know where it came from the left that it wasn't. A civil union does exactly what they wanted to do. They can call themselves husband and wife, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But marriage is an instrument of the church. Now, I'm not Christian. I'm not religious. I'm just stating facts. Marriage was in the church. The marriage license was for a legal purpose, and the state started doing that so they could control who was married and who wasn't married through divorce and all that bullshit. It's a legal issue with the state. But we said, and go back and look at the arguments before it was passed, before the Supreme Court said, yes, men can marry men, women can marry women. We said that this will lead to pedophilia being accepted and justified. And we were called crazy. No, we're not pedophiles. We're not saying you're pedophiles. But what do you think that plus on LGBTQIA plus stands for? They didn't want to put the P because they know what it means. But we said if you allowed marriage, this would happen. I think that gay people, if they want to be married, they want the benefits of a union, knock yourself out. Half of marriages in this country end up in divorce anyway, so good luck. With that being said, I think it's interesting that now they're shying away. You're seeing the LGBTQIA crowd say, oops, we may have let this argument go too far. You see, when you say that anything is allowable, when you can justify anything, what that means very simply is that down the road at some point, those people who have other plans, other agendas, they'll jump on your bandwagon. They'll tie their cause to your star, and they want to rise with you. And if you're including everything, if you're allowing people to be anything that they want to be, because you want to capture that marginalized community and utilize them as a political base, you can't tell them no. So every bit of crazy that's going on in this country right now, every bit of it goes to the left. Do we have dumb people on the right? Yeah. Do we have uneducated people on the right? Yeah. Do they vote without knowing what they're voting about? Yeah. Same thing on the left. The difference is that we don't have the evil. Nobody on the right's trying to cancel anybody because they don't believe in conservatism. I couldn't give two shits. Just keep your crazy out of my life. I'm sure you feel the same way. I think that most Americans do. The problem is that most Americans fit into that 80% category where it's not worth the fight. The problem is that there are so many things now that are going wrong, so many lies being told, that unless you start standing up and saying that's a lie, that's not the truth. If you don't start standing up and stating what the truth is loud and proud, it's going to continue to get worse. You've already seen what the DAs in these large cities have done, where they've turned the criminals into the victims and the victims into criminals. You try to defend yourself. You've got to explain why you felt fear. Listen, the old man who shot the young black kid at the front door, crazy. But why did he feel such fear for somebody knocking on his door? And not just knocking on his door, but starting to open the door. That's what the evidence shows. Why did he have such fear in his heart? Well, for the same reason that if I ever get surrounded by a group of people pounding on my car, I'm gunning it. The first time they pound on my car, I'm gone. Why? Well, I saw what happened to Reginald Denny during the LA riots from the Rodney King issue. You're not dragging me out of my car. You're not going to hit me in the head with a brick. I will take my car and use it as a weapon. And Oklahoma seems to be the first state in the union to realize, hey, we got to pass a law that legalizes you escaping from a mob. And if you run over them in the attempt to escape their violence, you're going to be held harmless. Sounds like Oklahoma is the place to go to protest. If you're on the left and you really serious, get out to Oklahoma. Test the boundaries out there. See what happens out there now that they've been given permission to defend themselves with their automobiles. I expect that these crossing the road protest and so on, gluing yourself to the road protest, I think that's going to come to a complete halt. Because the tables are turning. The pendulum is swinging back. And when it swings back, it always takes out the first in the front. Those that are closest. They're the farthest left. They're right there, smack dab, when that pendulum comes swinging back. They're the first to be harmed. The first to not realize, hey, the rules are changing, motherfucker. That's what we've got going on in this country right now. The pendulum is swinging back. Right now is to take the energy and the courage to stand and say, not in my nation, not in my country, you don't do this anymore. You're not going to force special ed children to eat their own vomit for whatever sick, perverse reason that you came up with. That's not going to happen in my America. And if it does, you'll spend the rest of your life in jail. My wife and I were discussing today the criminality and the corruption that I'll be talking about in the next few weeks. There's a group of people that I'm currently working with that we're uncovering corruption like you've never seen. And I know that you keep hearing, it's going to happen, it's happening. There are people right now risking their lives, working behind the scenes to get the information and the data to show you what's going on. And when we stand up and we start making this public, you're going to have to stand with us. Or we'll just be martyrs. The latest fodder for the left. Our nation is corrupt from top to bottom. The nation of our founding forefathers is gone. Our founding fathers, that nation died in 1963. The more I've dug into it, the more I've researched into it, the coup happened in 1963. The death of Kennedy was the coup. That's when our nation was overthrown. That's when the left came in. That's when the Nazis that we had brought from Germany in 1945, 1946, Operation Paperclip, they started moving in and taking power. Nothing that's happening today is American. Not one goddamn program that we have is American. Every program that we have in this country right now is meant to destabilize and tear apart our nation. So unless you start speaking up and using your voice, start using your feet, start using your fingers to dial and write letters and get out into the streets, until you start doing that, they're going to take everything. And the next thing they're going to say is they're going to justify, just like they are in the Netherlands, because it's another one. Have you ever heard of NAMBLA? Right? MAMBLA, sorry, not NAMBLA, MAMBLA, which is the Man-Boy Love Association. Go look it up. They've been advocating for lowering the threshold of what age they can fuck a kid for decades. They're starting to get movement in certain states like California, where California said, okay, if there's at least a 10-year difference, you're okay. 10 years, that's it. That means a 21-year-old could have consensual sex with an 11-year-old, and if the judge says it's okay, then it's okay. Do you guys love each other? Yes, we love each other. Well, you promised that this is going to last, and oh, yeah, it's going to last. It's going to last until I find somebody that's 10. That's the language. That's what's going on in our country right now. It's un-American, and it can't stand. The only way it changes is your voice. It can't just be me and other influencers and other hosts and moderators. It can't be just us screaming into a mic, telling you what's going on, and you sit back and go, yeah, that sucks, and not do anything about it. Because here's the thing, people. It's your child next. It's your grandchild. It's your niece. It's your nephew. It's the kid next door. It's the kid down the street. The little kid that you know at church, it's him. It's her. That's who's going to be harmed next. And that's on your hands. If you don't act, if you don't take responsibility right now for change, it's not going to happen. Politicians don't have the backbone or the will to make any changes. And the reason I know that is because Ghislaine Maxwell's little black book is still hidden. That's how I know our nation is in trouble. That's how I know that we are in the final days of this culture, in our society, this experiment that is America. That's how I know that this is the end. That's why I don't give a shit about any goddamn community guidelines. I will create account after account after account. I will come back and I will tell the truth every fucking day. Why? Because it's the fucking truth. The truth will not die. You can't bury it. You can't put it under a bushel and hide it. It's there. The truth is the truth. you've got to do the same. It can't just be us few. It can't just be us 20%. We need some of you of the 80% to start standing. You have to start being a part of the solution. Stop just bitching about it and show the fuck up. Because we're tired of being out here alone. And I'll leave you with this. We have in our nation one more election. That's it. And if you think that you're just going to show up in November and you're going to vote for who you're going to vote for, whether it be Trump or DeSantis or Biden or whoever else is going to be on the Democrat side, and it's going to be an election as normal, you're being childishly naive. Biden was right in 2020, but he was 4 years too early. 2024 is the battle for our nation's soul. Tomorrow, we're going to bring you a program of the grossest things that we're finding online. The things that you can't share. The things that you can't show, we're going to show, because we're going to show you what these organizations are really up to. When they say that, oh, we're just a bunch of boys dressed up as girls, dressing in front, dancing in front of your kids. It's so much deeper than that. It's so much darker than that. I will die protecting my grandchildren. I will die protecting my sons. I will die protecting my family. I think it's time for these trannies and all the others that have these visions of the romanticism of defending themselves, they better start learning. Because grandpas and parents, grandmas and parents are done. Aunts and uncles are done. We're finished. We're not playing this game anymore. The San Francisco Men's Choir said it a couple of years ago. They sang it at the top of their lungs. We're coming for your children. They meant it. They weren't fucking around. Oh, we didn't mean that the way that you're taking it. Bullshit. I'm a reproducer. You're a recruiter. There is a difference. With that being said, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.
Get more at CramerSez.com. CramerSez.com.